Now we need to get our buckets organised and we're ready for our flower delivery arriving. Now you can do this a couple of days in advance. You don't actually have to do the sterilising of the buckets or the preparation of the buckets the day the delivery comes. So when we talk about sterilising buckets, what happens in a flower shop or even when you're at home is the buckets that you're using constantly for storing and conditioning your flowers in, bacteria starts to build up inside. And once there's bacteria in the water, your flowers are not going to last as long. So really you need to keep the buckets scrupulously clean. You'll pick up buckets and vases in all the wholesalers. So whether it's your cash and carry or when you go online to the wholesalers, that's where you can purchase them. So we presume here I have a dirty bucket or a dirty vase. I have two of them here in front of me. So I use Domestos, so Domestos bleach. So again, back in my very early previous video about getting prepared, I did recommend that everybody bought in a bottle of Domestos. So what you're going to do is into your dirty bucket is you're going to put a good squeeze, and hopefully you can see this. You can see there, it's a good squeeze of Domestos bleach. You can call it 2 full capfuls if you want to, but like you can't overdo it. So don't be panicked about putting too much or too little in. It doesn't really matter, but put a good squeeze into it, right? You're then going to place this under your tap. For the video I haven't got a tap beside me, so I have a bucket of water ready. So you're going to place it under your tap and you're going to fill this bucket up with water. So here I have my bucket with the bleach in it and I'm now filling it up. Now, you can see this, I'll try and hold it sideways, but there's loads of bubbles and suds. The longer you leave it, the better. So sometimes I might do this today and I leave that bleach and water in the bucket till tomorrow. You can leave it in as long as you want. But if you're under pressure, as I said, 5-10 minutes is the minimum you should leave it. Now in a lot of flower shops, they could have 30, 40, 50 vases and buckets. So each bucket has to get treated like this. So normally what they would do is they would have 5 or 6 buckets going at the same time. So they would have 5 buckets with bleach in them, all filled with water, all left for 5 or 10 minutes. And then what they do, so I'm just going to lift this up onto the table, they get the next dirty bucket. So here we have our next dirty bucket. And what we do then is we pour this water, so the bleached water, and you'll see it'll be real sooty, into this vase. Now I have lots more bubbles, right? So this vase has now been sterilised. Now as you can see, there's bubbles and suds inside it. So you can see lots of bubbles and suds still clinging to the inside of the bucket. Don't rinse that and don't dry it. It's no harm whatsoever. When you've done this, what you can do is turn your vase or your bucket upside down. Watch your jeans, by the way, right, with the bleach. Turn your bucket or vase upside down and leave it on the floor for it to drip dry. But it doesn't have to drip dry. I don't mind if there's still bubbles and suds inside it. A lot of shops, when you see a bucket upside down, that means it's sterilised. If you see a bucket with lots of suds in it, obviously it's the bleach and water. And if you see a bucket turned up, say that way, well then you know that bucket needs to be sterilised. Every shop has their own little code basically between the staff so they know what's going on. And this sterilising of the buckets and vases would go on at least once a week. A lot of flower shops do it on a Saturday, maybe on a Saturday afternoon. Because Saturday evening can sometimes be the end of their week. And they're normally getting a new fresh flower delivery coming in Sunday night, early Monday morning. So when they open their shop on Monday morning, they find they have a new delivery of flowers ready to go. So it's absolutely brilliant if all the buckets and vases have all been sterilised on the Saturday afternoon. When the staff come in on Monday, then they know everything is scrupulously clean. Now what I would recommend is before you go home on the Saturday, is get all the vases, the sterilised vases. So I'm taking up my upside down bucket, okay? So this is my vase that has been sterilised. And again, there's still bubbles and suds on the inside. So what the staff might do now is half fill these buckets or vases. Now a minimum of 30 centimetres, okay? So I would kind of go for the halfway mark. So half fill all these vases with nice clean water. And the fresher the water, the better, because fresh water has more oxygen in it than water that's been left there lying for a while. So if they were to do this on Saturday and their flower delivery is coming in on Sunday, that's brilliant. But if they want to leave till Sunday, that's absolutely fine as well. Or if they're not getting their delivery till Monday morning and they want to fill the buckets up on Monday morning, that works too. But again, think about like pressure and again staff and boxes of flowers and trying to treat them. So if you can do this in advance, it's absolutely brilliant. What I like to do is put some flower food into the vase before I put the water in, but that's not necessary. I find if the flower food is in the water first, it kind of like swishes around and it dissolves quicker. Where if you put the water in and then you put the flower food in, and especially if it's very cold, sometimes you find the flower food sits on the end of the vase. But you can always use the liquid flower food. Remember, we talked about that as well in our previous video. You can use your measuring spoon, or I'm using the sachets. So normally for a half vase, for this quantity of water, it'll take 2 of these sachets. So I'm just cutting off our plastic, pouring our flower food, just like sugar it is, into our vase there. Make sure they're well emptied out. It's more economical to use the bucket with the measuring spoon in it when you're in a flower shop. But I do understand a lot of you are working at home and you probably just have the sachets. So now what you do is the sterilised vase that has the bubbles and suds inside it, that has the flower food in it. You now put that under your tap and you fill it halfway with water. Again, I'm cheating here. I have a vase of clean water and I'm going to half fill this. Now there's a small amount of bubbles in that water because the bubbles and suds that was already in the bucket has now been re-diluted and it's kind of like spread out, dispersed, and there still is, as the water settles, the bubbles will probably vanish. But there is a taint of bleach in that water that the flowers are going to drink. And believe me, they absolutely love it. So now this vase is ready for our fresh flower delivery.